Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is TwoHeadedFlounder. Welcome back to some PTCGL, and today we're playing Miraidon. Not really, but like it's the Miraidon skeletal structure, just tweaked a little bit for Iron Thorns, because I really like Iron Thorns. So long story short, I believe it was Ian Robb giving a little interview with the deck, and I said, I just need something mindless to play on the ladder because I'm so sick of playing Guardy. I played it, I tried it. It's not the deck that I love, it was Iron Thorns that I loved. I was like, ooh, this card is making me win. So here we are. And then I started brewing because I'm going to a Pokemon tournament soon, and I was like, ooh, Iron Thorns, like the quad one, and then like Colress from the new set could grab me Lost City, and then Energy to attack for the turn, and then like, it's just at that point an auto win against Guardy, and then LDF drops the deck list today, and I'm like, well, cat's out of the bag, let's do a little bit something different. I know how to play it this way. Why don't we throw an extra Thorns in and just see how it goes? So, like Miraidon, you have a bunch of one-off attackers because they do various things. Raikou's the easiest to set up and attack with and hits big numbers. Raichu is essentially what's going to help us kill Zards and things like that, because we're going to blow up our energy on the board and just get a big knockout. Ursaluna is great late game. Iron Hands is going to get us an extra prize card. Technically speaking, Miraidon's probably our best attacker because of damage output. But then also we have a little bit of support with Iron Bundle because we can use it to get things out of the active and attack around things. Very important in the Drago matchup. The Zapdos for the extra 10 damage. It makes math just a little bit nicer for us. And of course Squawkabilly, which Squawkabilly is not something that we're going to be able to get off all the time because I'm trying to get Thorns off in the active spot, so it'll shut that off, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. But other than that, I noticed that if our opponent in the Drago matchup gets Noivern in the discard pile super early and actually manages to start attacking with it, it prevents our basic Pokemon from attacking, because we'll do no damage because we're basics. So I needed another way around that wasn't just boss and catcher, and I was like, what's a good evolution Pokemon to attack with? And I was like, oh, Magnezone EX for 1 lightning energy does 50 times the amount of energy your opponent has in play, and Drago always has like at least 6 in play because they need it to draw cards and attack. And I'm like, say no more, we're gonna get it off and just pop something, right? It's a little risky because none of the Magnemite, I should say, have 70 HP. They're all 60 HP or less, which is obviously not good because they can copy Dragapult and just blow it up on the bench. So it'll have to be something that we get going extremely quickly. So I decided to use this Magnemite because its first attack is just more useful. But yeah, Iron Thorns shuts down things. No quick search, no Charizard acceleration, no Overpon acceleration, no drawing cards with Greninja. I just love it. So yeah, other than that, we have 3 copies of Boss because you absolutely need it. Just there's no way around it. If there was room for a 4th, maybe even a 4th, but there is no room in this deck. It's just so tight. 3 copies of Iono because we want to be able to Iono late game and have them have no cards while we're set up with attackers and energy, right? And then, of course, we would love a 4th copy of Research. Again, there's just no room. So Arven is what essentially is going to help us get Magnezone into play, but is also obviously really good for grabbing the bits and pieces and useful tool cards. So ideally, we're going to Nest Ball for Miraidon, use Miraidon's ability, get the Magnemite in play, and then on the following turn, we can Arven, grab the rare candy, and grab the Forest Sealstone. We can Forest Sealstone on our V, use that to grab Magnezone, just evolve that way. Other than that, pretty straightforward stuff. There's no Ultra Ball here because most of everything that we're going to want is grabbable by Nest Ball, so we're doing that. And then we have 1 Heavy Ball because we want to grab those one-off attackers when we need to. 4 Generator is a must. 2 Switch Cart. Everything in this deck is basically just a basic Pokemon besides the Magnezone, so like it just makes sense. Remove a little bit of damage and switch. 2 Super Rod to get the energy back in so we can hit the generators. Lost Vacuum for Guardy and other things. Prime Catcher so we can pull up something and attack. The one-off of Rare Candy to evolve. PAL pad just so we can try and get some of these important trainers back into the deck. And then we were playing 2 booster capsules because it's great for giving us free retreat and extra damage, a 4 steel stone to grab whatever card we may need, the rescue board for free retreat on our 1 retreat Pokemon, great for Raikou, just put it up into the active, draw an extra card for turn, retreat into whatever we want to attack with, and a copy of Town Store so we can also try and grab these tools multiple times over the course of multiple turns. 13 lightning. I was originally at 15, and then I had to go down to 14, and then I had to go down to 13. If you're comfortable with cutting one of these things, go for it. This is unfortunately where I landed, so it's not great for the generators, but it'll do. And then lastly, 2 copies of Double Turbo, so we can try and get off Iron Thorns a little bit quicker, the Ampufury much a little bit quicker. And with that being said, I guess let's get into the games. Alright, so first up, I don't want to spoil things, but, you know, we're going to see it in a minute. I actually win the coin flip, and I get to go first. And, well, I actually get to lead with Iron Thorns, which is what I want to do. And we're going to see our opponent is actually playing Lugia. So Lugia is essentially, if we have both Iron Thorns in play, an auto win. Lugia cannot get those Archeops on the bench, and that slows down the deck heavily. Ways around it are to manually attach multiple special energy to your Chinchino and go off that way. But other than that, like, I have 2 Thorns in play, I'm feeling really good about life, and I'm just gonna pass after I whiff my Electric Generator, and I'm like, that's fine with me, go ahead, let's see what you got. They're gonna draw and immediately concede, because they just cannot do anything, so let's get on to the next game. Which I, again, win the coin flip, and do decide to go first. And in our opening hand, we're actually going to get Iron Thorns again. So, of course, I'm going for it. So, maybe what could have been a better play here was to lead Miraidon, use Miraidon's ability, get more Pokemon out of the deck, and then switch cart into Iron Thorns. But, you know, I say, let's see what we got going here, and then I see the horse scene. I'm like, woo, we're playing against Kingdra EX. It's gonna be a fun one because I hit for super effective damage, but also, like, you know, like, I feel pretty good about shutting off certain things' abilities, which is mainly Greninja, which prevents them from drawing extra cards. But unfortunately for me, they're gonna have Irida turn 1. They're gonna be able to get the Buddy Poffin off, grab 2 Bidoof for the bench, and then Horsey actually allows it to attack and switch to the bench, so it is what it is. But I'm going to actually top deck the other Iron Thorns, which is great because I can accelerate the energy from my active to the bench one and just have a steady stream of attackers. And unfortunately, I'm going to see here that there's only 1 future booster energy, or future booster capsule, and unfortunately I misplay by attaching it to the active with the double turbo. I'm only going to hit 1 electric energy off of the generator here, and I will get a knockout on Bidoof, which puts me up an early, prize lead, and I can obviously retreat off of the active spot with the capsule because I have 0 retreat cost now, but the math, unfortunately, it does not add up now. So if we have 150 minus 20 plus 10, that's 140. That's unfortunately 280 damage. And well, actually it's neutral, right? Because it attacks, so it attacks for 140. That's what it is. I minus 20, but plus 20 because of the tool, and then plus 10, so it's 150. So Any which way, it doesn't matter. I'm only going to be able to hit Kingdra EX for 300 damage, which is unfortunate. Because if I just had thought about that a little bit, I could have played things a little differently. Obviously, would have kind of come down to luck into getting switching options and things like that, but yeah, it would have just been nice to clean knock this thing out and not have to attack it into it a second time. But we are going to be able to attack into it. I'm going to search my deck, see what's going on in there. I'm going to see that I believe the rare candy is also prized, so I can't even get Magnezone into play if I want. And I don't want to throw the Magnemite onto the bench because Greninja can just snipe it because I have no Manaphy. So we're just going to dump the hand and kind of do my thing. But unfortunately only hit for 300 damage. But I'm going to start moving the energy around, and I decided to go with Raikou here because it just needs a single energy attachment, and I can blow up any Kingdra or whatever, even the Baxcalibur with the amount of Pokemon in play. So it just seems like a good Pokemon to get going. So obviously there's also some other issues, like if I leave the Kingdra in play, it can just put another Kingdra EX / Baxcalibur onto the bench. So I need to make sure there's no Kingdra in play before I can take out the Baxcalibur. It's unfortunate, but you know, just the way things go sometimes. So they're able to get a lot of things going on their turn, and you're gonna see that they actually managed to get like really large hands in this game, which is just really cool to see. But you know, I am hitting them for super effective damage pretty much every turn, and if I'm not hitting them for super effective damage, it's stuff that I can pretty much easily knock out because they have low HP. So though they do manage to get my Iron Thorns down, like, I'm pretty much okay with things here. So I'm going to attach to the active most likely this turn if I whiff enough energy onto the Iron Hands, which we can't get enough into play. And unfortunately, even though I Super Rod the energy first, we hit no electric energy whatsoever there. So I'm debating if Raikou's the one I want to attack with, or throw Iron Thorns into the active, because then again I shut off, you know, attacks and stuff. I decided to move the energy from Iron Thorns to Raikou because Raikou's just the fastest thing to attack with here. So if they do ever send up another Kingdra, I just start knocking that out. Our prize is also not super great. Like, we only have the one Iron Thorns in play now, so the booster capsule doesn't really hurt, but it doesn't really help. The only thing it means is they can't just trap Iron Hands in the active because it'll have free retreat. So that leaves Zapdos as like the one to pull up and leave in the active, which is fine because it's a one prize attacker. I'd rather them take one prize than two if I can't get it out of the active. But also, we're going to see that, of course, the Kingdra, that's the baby Kingdra on their bench, can either make me or themselves shuffle and draw 4. So they're going to be building up massive hands and then throwing my hand size down really low. Sometimes he'll probably have to use the ability himself, because essentially you're going to be trying to find the pieces that you're going to need, so you're going to try and draw cards. But more or less, it's going to be like, oh, my opponent's got 5 cards in their hand, and they're going to have 6 going to their turn, so I'm going to use the ability to essentially judge them into just having less cards. And it's really good. It's very annoying. I feel like you definitely have to pick and choose the right opportunity to use it. I think it would go really well with, like, just being able to look at your opponent's hand and be like, nah, you can keep that. But we're going to see the counter catcher to bring up Zapdos, which is unfortunate, because if they had just pulled up Iron Hands, like, I could just attach the booster capsule and free retreat. But it is what it is. So we're going to see them grab the Prime Catcher, probably trying to get some sort of play going, but we are going to get pseudo-judged, but Actually, it's not too bad because we're going to draw right into the like the cart, what is it called? Switch Cart. And then we can just attach the energy to Iron Thorns and attack with that, or we can go ahead and attack with Raikou here, so it's fine. I think, though, our Prime Catcher is also prized, so, and/or we already used it at some point, I believe. So, like, it's kind of, you know, scary about whether or not we can actually get these things off. But unfortunately, we're just a double colorless shy of being able to take 2 prize cards off of Greninja, so I got to do something. And I think, well, why don't we throw the well, first off, we're going to go into Raikou to draw an extra card, but why don't we attack with Iron Thorns, because that just, again, shuts off any rule box abilities, so they can't Lumineon for things and things like that, right? So it just makes sense. It works out well, and I decide to move the electric energy to the Iron Hands as opposed to the double colorless. Maybe, honestly, should have put the double colorless onto Zapdos in case they tried stalling with pulling that up again, but I just figured we have a lot of lightning left in the deck that we can just draw into, manually attach, and that'll be hopefully good enough for the Ampy very much. Slash, if we have to use the other attack, which I don't know the name of. Because all I ever do is Ampy very much. So if they do get another Kingdra EX into play, like, it's just knockout, right? So we just need to take 2 prizes. So either I attack into a 1 prizer that I can knock out with Ampy very much, and or we just knock out a 2 prize attacker. Unfortunately, though, I'm going to get Iono'd, but it's actually not the worst hand. And because of Raikou's ability, when they do knock us out here, which I'm, you know, assuming, like, that's perfect math, they'll hit me for 130, blah, 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 right? Take the 2 prize cards, they actually decide to pass, which is a little strange. They're going to decide to use the ability on themselves to draw a new hand. I don't genuinely know if there's a reason not to attack here, right? Because, again, like, I have free retreat. Maybe he's thinking he just forgot about the tool that gives me free retreat, or maybe he ran out of time. I don't know. But I was just like, oh, okay, I'll take it. I'll work with it. That's fine. So I'm like, all right, well, let's get into Raikou, because we kind of need to draw into an energy, right? Like, yeah, let's do that. And then I'm like, we'll throw Iron Bundle down because it'll increase Raikou's damage range, but also if I need to switch anything out. And I'm like, okay, well, let's pull up that Seadra to prevent another Kingdra EX from getting into play. And I'm like, let's just take the knockout. Like, we can take this slow. Like, I got Arven in hand. I'm feeling pretty good because of Arven. Like, I can search out Prime Catcher, and then just kind of do it. But also, like, nothing in play that they have can pretty much kind of deal with my attackers. Like, the best option for them at this point, I feel like, is, again, pulling up the Zapdos. So, I don't really know. I do believe that they do manage to get Zapdos into the active, so that must mean that they play, okay, I was going to say either another custom catcher or the Prime Catcher. So they are going to pull up the Zapdos and, you know, pretty much pray that, like, they just got an explosive turn next turn, and, like, hopefully I get stuck in the active. But again, I have the Arven, but first I'm going to put things back into the deck. So I'm going to grab the copy of Boss and the research, and I'm looking at my stuff, and I'm like, what do we do here? What do we do here? I'm pretty sure I have the Nest Ball in hand, but there's no V Pokemon, so I'm like, okay, so I have to grab Super Rod and the Forest Seal Stone, because that means I can Super Rod Raichu or Raikou. Oh, Raikou's on the bench with the tool, so I need the Raichu, so I can put that in the deck, Nest Ball for it, go ahead and put the Forest Seal Stone on it, use the ability, grab the Prime Catcher, and then swap out of the active. It doesn't matter what I take and who I attack with, because I have 1 prize card left, and Raikou V is going to be able to hit that thing for 380 damage poor little horsey, and we're going to be able to take the game. And that was a very fun one. But moving on, we're going to be playing against the... what are they called? The trio, the loyal 3. So, starting things off, like, this isn't great. Like, I got Zapdos in the active, which is my worst retreater, and yeah, like, things just aren't going well. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Iron Thorns and Raikou, because Raikou is, again, the fastest attacker, can let me draw cards. But I'm going to try and accelerate energy here, and I decide to go with Raikou for whatever reason. But I'm going to retreat, throw up Iron Thorns, and go, like, hopefully you just can't draw anything. I throw the Forest Steel Stone down just in case. Hopefully they don't, you know, Lost Vacuum it away. And I pass. I'm like, Petrol Rod can't use its ability. Monkey Dory can't use its ability. Greninja can't draw you cards. Like, if you got Boss or Prime, go for it. Because, like, you know, so what's going on here? Like, I don't want those abilities being in play. I think Iron Thorns is also very good against the Monkey Dory EX, because Monkey Dory says if you got Petrol Rod in play, like, you take one less prize card if you knock it out. And you know, Iron Thorns is just like, no, we're taking 2. So, you know, I really like it. But we are going to be able to get the free retreat going here, which is awesome. And I got the second energy onto Raikou. And I'm like, I really don't want to Iono them, though, because, like, I feel like they don't have many good cards. And, like, let's just leave it that way. I'm debating on Raichu, but I believe I ultimately go with the second Iron Thorns, just in case I want to start locking abilities with, in case they knock me out, because the Okidogi is just really, just going off here. I decide, though, because I'm probably getting knocked out, that I should search my deck for an Electric Generator, and I see that 2 of them are prized, because we already have one in the discard pile, and I'm like, oh, that's not fun. So I'm like, we really need to hit double here, or we're kind of screwed. And, like, thankfully we do, because, you know, like, this is bad, but I put on the Iron Thorns, and I'm like, well, we're going to be throwing this up to prevent Petrol Rod from doing things, and whatever, right? And hopefully we'll be fine, and we'll be able to knock this out, and hopefully they won't be able to get enough energy in play, and also get Petrol Rod off to do the easy poison and things like that, right? I feel like I'm in a great spot. And then I misplay. I attach instead to the active, because I'm thinking we're going to attack with the active and move the energy to Iron Hands. I just straight up attach to Iron Hands, and I'm like, oh my god, why did I do that? Why did I just do that? That was the dumbest thing of all time, because now what do I do? What do I do? So I decide to retreat and let them have abilities and go into Magnemite. So obviously what would have happened was Greninja couldn't draw cards, things like that. Petrol Rod wouldn't have been able to poison the benched Okidogi, and I would have been fine, because it can't knock me out. Except I put myself in this really, really bad situation because of a misplay. They're going to go ahead and Iron Bundle, which is fine because I have another 1 prize attacker in play. So I'll just throw up Zapdos. Like, if they want to get the knockout, feel free. Go for it, right? They're going to opt to accelerate energy to Okidogi, though, which is fine. I'm thinking about Lost Vacuuming, but I'm like, I don't really think it matters. Like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I just want them to KO Zapdos or Magnemite here, so, like, I don't know. So let's just throw some stuff back in. Maybe I can draw into the Raikou. Maybe I can start drawing cards. Like, I don't know. This is not great. I'm just gonna leave Zapdos active and pass. So, you know, if they choose not to KO Zapdos, that's fine. I can bide another turn. I need more time. Give me a little bit more time so I can get something accelerated here, because there's no more generators in the deck, and the best thing I can attack with now is probably Miraidon. So I throw Iron Thorns in the active because I have free retreat on it. Why not? Let's go for it. I decide to Town Store because what does it matter, right? I'm going to grab this and throw it onto the other Iron Thorns, and I'm going to use Iron Bundle. So they're not going to be in the active. They're not going to be poisoned. They can't use any of their abilities. I'm like, I guess we ability lock and pass, and we're in top deck mode. They decide to send up Pet, and I'm like, okay, well, probably attach the energy to it and free retreat. Well, not free retreat, but like one energy retreat. Like, that's fine. But if not, like, you know, that's a nice thing to get a knockout on. It's very easy to get a knockout on that. Like, that's fine too. But we're gonna see them just playing cards, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to draw into those. That just seems very weird to me. But I'm just still in top deck mode because I'm not drawing any energy, and I really need to draw energy. So I'm just gonna pass. Like, there's not much I can do. There's no tools left in the deck. I can't Town Store for them, but they're gonna top deck Iono, and I guess need to play it because they're kind of also not doing much. But that gives me a hand in which I can find an energy card, and I can start going off. So I'm debating, like, do I just attack into the active, have damage on it, and maybe do something later? And this is, I'm like, oh, Zapdos EX would be so good in this deck right now. But I'm like, I think we got to take care of the Okidogi and just take 2 prize cards here because it's kind of important. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what is my opponent doing? Like, why are they not attacking with Okidogi and all this other stuff? But, like, it's not registering in my head like they have to be poisoned or they're not doing damage. And I'm like, oh, yeah, like, maybe they're not misplaying. Maybe they just can't really do much. And I'm like, yeah, this is good. I like this. This is fun. Of course, Janine can actually poison your active if you do it that way, which I think my opponent misplayed there by not doing that because they could have easily taken the knockout on Iron Thorns. But whatever, we're gonna hit the generator, and I'm gonna decide to retreat, go into Miraidon because it's the best math I can do. I'm gonna have to go ahead and Super Rod Zapdos into the deck, and then I'm gonna have to Iono and hope to draw into it and or Nest Ball so I can do just enough damage. And thankfully there's the Nest Ball. I grab Zapdos, 230 damage to knock out the Okidogi. They were probably maybe also thinking like they can't knock me out this turn, like they don't have the right math, and I just pulled it out of nowhere, and yeah, I had the right math. So we're actually going to grab our last generator off the prizes, which is pretty good. We're going to see the Monkey Dory EX come into play, and we're actually going to see that thing get like fully powered up this turn because I'm not ability locking them, which means they can draw 3 with Pheasantipity. I believe they Ultra Ball here for the Darkrai VStar, and they're going to be able to VStar this turn. And again, Monkey Dory, phenomenal attacker because it just simply states like, yeah, if I got Petro in play, you take 1 less prize. So, but they're gonna have to get another Petro in play. That's the thing. I give them a thumbs up because they got the research, discarding 0, just drawing 7. But yeah, like even with Monkey Dory all powered up and everything else, like I'm in a good spot. They don't have Petro on the bench. If they did, I can just try and get Iron Thorns into the active and going again, so that's fine. Unfortunately for my opponent though, like, they're a little bit damage off, just 10 damage off from being able to knock me out. And I have things, and if I hit the energy off a generator, I just send Iron Hands up, I Boss's Orders up Greninja, and I take the last 2 prize cards. So yeah, it was a very interesting game. More so because I literally misplayed making it more interesting, but hey, what are you gonna do? Sometimes you just gotta show off that you're an idiot sometimes, and you can still make comebacks. So thanks for watching these games. I hope you enjoyed. Stick around for more in the future, and I'll see you all next time.